All right. Give everybody a few minutes to join in here. There is a huge delay between YouTube and the stream at this moment in time. And an even bigger one on Twitch, it looks like. Wow. That's great. So, give everybody a few seconds here. Hybrid, good evening. Hello, Hero. Hello, Adria. It's been a minute. Good evening, Alex. Mad Dog, fresh off her concert from last night. How you feeling there? Alex, thank you. Maiden, hey, what's up? Been a minute. Irish, say hello to make sure everybody can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hybrid, you're in Spartanburg. Bless your soul. Spartan, there's no kinda. It does. We affectionately refer to it as Sparkle City here. I was sick last week. Yes. No, I feel fine. My voice still kind of. There's been this lingering cough, so with the cough, I'm gonna be like, so. That's good stuff. Mad Dog says she's exhausted from the concert. Alex says hi, Irish. Hybrid says he's in Sparkle City for this weekend next. Bless your soul. That's awful. That's awful. So, we'll get a little bit of stuff out of the way here. First of all, I just want to say, Adria, since you're here, I know you had talked to Blame Tag about Substack and talked him into going there, and then he talked to me about it. And I would like to say that since I've switched podcast hosts from Anchor by Spotify to Substack, our numbers are pretty good to begin with. They're even better now. So I don't know what it is that Substack does. The numbers are really, really good. It definitely is a whole lot different than the kind of demographic you get on YouTube, but it's booming. So I cannot, be thrilled enough. Also, too, although he is not here tonight, I definitely want to make sure that we call out our sponsor, and that is the Serving Times, proud sponsor of the Retail War Zone, 2023 Pulitzer Prize winner for the article Watley's Recession, and it's also an AI-free publication. The link to his Substack is in the description of the video and here on screen as well. Please go check it out. He just reposted one of my favorite articles by him about the employee who got lost in the back room. It is fantastic. Also, too, if you're new here and you like what we do, I haven't really talked about this in a while. We do have a printable business card that you can actually print out on regular paper. It's just black ink, so if you're using white paper, it'll look exactly like it is on the screen. And you can spread it around to any of your favorite retail establishments if you so choose. Also, too, as you see underneath me, it is now hashtag Mariah Karen season. We're sitting at a little bit over 10,000 plays on our Christmas song, spread, far and wide. Let's get that out there. So having said that, grocery shopping. So this was an idea that I had, and then, this became a double feature because Hero had suggested to me, we should also do a Thanksgiving, episode. So the cost of what Thanksgiving dinner would be here versus, at Irish's joint. So this is the first one. This is just basic groceries and stuff. Feel free to chime in the prices of where you're at, by comparison, because regionally here in the United States, obviously there's a huge difference in price in things like in the South, versus the North versus the West Coast. So if you have insight to that and have prices on hand that you'd like to throw in, please do. So before we get started, Irish, what do you got going on right now? Kind of tell us what's been going on in your life at the moment and the fun things at retail hell. I saw that Blame Tag got flagged for no trolling. That was funny. Hey, Blank Stairs, good to see you. So what you got going on?
Well, unfortunately, it's more of the same. So I'm still kind of keeping one eye on the job market where I can. It is, as we have talked about multiple times, very difficult to get out of retail, but it's still the goal. In general, we're gearing up now for Santa Claus, Christmas season, everything here. It's actually pretty busy retail-wise. I don't know if people are kicking off a bit earlier than normal, but it's pretty crazy. Traffic, everything is up. Um, and we're, in the middle of flu season, everything else. It's a really boring normal, unfortunately, I have to say. There's not a whole lot of excitement going on. But for, I suppose, I have been actively trying to look after my mental health a little bit better with retail. So I've been trying to explore different what's called hobbies, which I never pursued before outside of work. So I've been trying to sign up to a couple of courses online just to do something that has absolutely nothing to do with work.
Oh, that sounds good. That's great. Real quick, Adria, if you're still in here, if you're still in grocery, has it started already? I'd noticed an uptick in our business about a week earlier so far this year. We're going into This Is America, don't run out of cranberry sauce season. So I'm just curious what kind of flow you got out, on that side of the country. But Mad Dog says it's been sane right now. Yes, yes. And Alex says, yay for guarding your mental health. Yay, that is correct. I think that's a big lesson that we all, learned coming out of the pandemic. Mental health does matter. I mean, a lot of us try to be all tough and whatnot, but we still have issues that are silent that we don't tell people about, and a large portion of that comes from just not taking care of ourselves. So, and Mad Dog, you're a twisted person if you love Spartanburg. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I mean, this is like crime alley, basically. So, if Batman if Gotham was Spartanburg, it would be no surprise that he was an orphan. But, yeah, I have met you. That's true. That's true. So having said that, so we're going to do a little bit of comparison shopping. I came up with a list, and Irish actually has his the grocery store he references pulled up so he can reference it if you have other items that you're curious about. So the list I came up with was just really basic things, that we all deal with. Um, stuff that, you would really consider, staples, things that, we buy a lot of. And, it's, some of this stuff's weekly, some of it's monthly, some of it just might be special. You decided to, you know, um, get something different, so to speak. So we're going to start off with the list itself. All right. So the initial list it's a gallon of milk, a dozen eggs, a loaf of bread, ground beef per pound, chicken per pound, preferably chicken breast, Kerrygold butter, since they might as well sponsor this show as well, a 2 liter of Coke or Pepsi, a 12-pack of beer. We settled on 16-ounce Budweiser, so we're going to go with that one. A pack of Marlboros, a bag of Doritos, instant oatmeal, a box of spaghetti, a jar of ragu, a 4-pack of toilet paper, a single roll of paper towels, dish soap, preferably Dawn dish liquid, a 5-pound bag of potatoes, 1 head of lettuce, and bananas. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a gallon of milk. So Irish, the gallon of milk that you chose, was that like a store brand, or was it like a name brand? Obviously, I would think you went for the cheapest because this was kind of what we were doing.
The milk here is pretty much all the same price, to be honest with you. So it's standard.
All right, big reveal, Irish. After you converted it, how much is a gallon of milk there?
Hold on 1 second. So a gallon of milk here is just under $4, $3.96.
$3.96 a gallon. Here where I'm at, a gallon of milk is $2.54, and that would be our store brand. Obviously, probably just like Tesco, there's all sorts of organic milks and whatnot that you can buy, and whatnot. Hero says, is it sold in gallons there? No, it is not. He did the
No.
conversion from liters to gallons because he's super smart like that. I am not.
Google helped a lot.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. I always get confused like ounces, pounds. It's crazy. So for you guys out there right now, so my price of milk here in the United States is $2.54. Alex says store brand in Chicago is $4 a gallon.
Okay.
So interesting. So the next one dozen eggs, Irish,
$4.11.
4.11, and I'm assuming that's just your cheapest store brand or whatnot.
Yeah, again, not a lot of wiggle room with eggs. They're pretty standard.
A dozen eggs here in my neck of the woods, $1.24, and that's for our store brand. Anybody else out there? Do you know the price of eggs where you're at? Just curious if you want to throw it out there to compare as well. And then your basic run of the mill loaf of white bread. Irish, what was your price on that?
138.
So here, our store brand, which is the cheapest brand you can get, $1.77. So Ireland wins on the bread war. Now,
Are we keeping score?
no, we're not. So now the next two are, typical meats per pound. So our price, Maiden says in Western North Carolina, eggs are $2.47 a dozen for a large. That's crazy. Yeah, Maiden, that $1.24 is way cheaper here. And I'm not going to mention where I work, but you're in that neck of the woods. I can't believe that they're that expensive there. But anyway, so ground beef per pound, Irish.
427.
So $4.27 a pound for ground beef. Here where I work, it's $4.98 per pound for ground beef, and that's our regular price, not sale price. So, chicken per pound, Irish.
640.
That one hurts a lot. At the time I got this price, boneless, skinless chicken breasts for us per pound were $4.28. So once again, how much was your chicken per pound?
640.
Now, in Ireland, are you importing more chicken, or do you actually have the chicken there?
We have plenty of chicken farms here. It's just things got pretty expensive. Chicken was a lot cheaper before COVID. Things got pretty expensive after that. Like they're grain fed as well, and I mean, all the things going on in Eastern Europe at the moment. Like a lot of our grain comes from there, so
Right.
I suspect that has something to do with it. But it's probably greed as well. But yeah, it's got more expensive.
Now, this one was shocking because they should sponsor our show. So, I'm just going to get you to give the price on this, Irish, and then I'll explain the difference when we're done with it. So, Kerrygold butter, Irish, how much is your price?
458.
Okay. Kerrygold butter, where I work, 458. You might be like, "Hey, wait a minute, that's on par." No, it's not. Irish gets to buy Kerrygold 458 for a pound. We spend 458 for two 4-ounce sticks. That's insane. I'm sure there's import something another that goes with that, but we're paying the same price for half of what he gets, and that's just criminal. That's just awful. So, a 2 liter of Coke or Pepsi. So, what did you price? Was it Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Pepsi. All right. So, $2.98 here. And how much was yours?
331.
Ooh, the unhealthy stuff is where we're cheapest, kind of. So this one was interesting. Make sure you read the right number on this, Irish, because I know you told me when I was reading it that was non-16 ounce, but the 16 ounce price. So a 12 pack of Budweiser 16 ounce. How much is it in Ireland?
25.62.
Did you guys get that? A 12 pack of 16 ounce Budweiser, $25.62 after the conversion. Here, it was, that's the wrong price. I gotta pull up the right one here. Here, it was I believe, $12.98. That's right, Alex. 25 for good old Budweiser. And ours is 12.98. So a few cents more than double. Hero wants to know, is there a more popular beer that's cheaper there, Irish?
Oh yeah, Budweiser's an absolute piss water. No one drinks that here. Yeah, I mean, pretty much every beer is more popular, but it's just a standard kind of. It's definitely one that we both have. You know what I mean? So I wanted to pick something that we both had. I don't know what the Christ. I don't know. Heineken would be a more popular beer here. Um,
Ooh, would
yeah.
Heineken be cheaper than Bud?
No, they'd be about the same price.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No,
I
we have a lot. We have cheaper beers, right? But they're absolute. I mean, they're watered down piss water. It's just.
Right.
So there are cheaper beers for like basically the fucking kids and alcoholics. That I didn't really want to go. Let's just say a cheaper beer would probably be half that price.
Okay, got you. Which would be
Yeah.
more in line with what our 12 packs would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got you. Now this one is insane. I changed mine, and I'll explain why. So, Irish, how much is one pack of Marlboro cigarettes in Ireland?
1789.
Can you say that one more time, please?
1789.
Mm. So I was going to run with Marlboro prices, but I'm not going to because I smoke American Spirits when I can, and they're about the most pricey cigarette you can get because of organic or whatnot. Less chemicals, blah blah blah. They're not healthy. They're still cigarettes, but you don't cough as much. Um, Mine after tax are $10.81 a pack. So you're looking at like the most expensive pack of cigarettes you can get in the United States is $7 cheaper than Cowboy Killers. Maiden says when she was in New Jersey last month, it was $14 for a pack of Camels. Hybrid says he can get a carton for $72. So yeah, that's Mad Dog says she got a carton of Camel Menthol for $21. So yeah, that's expensive as hell, Irish. Bag of Doritos. This is interesting. How much was your bag of Doritos?
298.
$2.98. Yes, here I know when you go out of state that the cigarettes cost more. I remember when Mad Dog and I were in Texas, I paid I think $17 for a pack of Marlboros there, but it was at a hotel, a little shop. So that was going to be more than even what the local convenience stores were because they just get you that way. So your bag of Doritos was how much again?
298.
$2.98. Bag of Doritos here, $4.98, $2 more. Instant oatmeal.
Per pound is 176.
All right, so they get instant oatmeal for $1.76 for a pound. Here we can get 2 ounces more, 18 ounce for $2.38. So the oatmeal obviously is cheaper there, and I got to think that Irish oatmeal is probably better than the oatmeal we have here. I'm just saying. A box of spaghetti, 1 pound noodles.
162.
Ours are $1.78, and that's cheapest. That's our store brand. 1 jar of ragu sauce, which I would not buy, but it's kind of universal. How much is your jar of ragu?
373.
$2.98 here.
Okay.
A 4-pack of toilet paper.
235.
Here $2.48. So you're cheaper to take a shit. Congrats.
Thank you.
And probably better quality too, to be honest with you. Because when you get the 4-pack toilet paper here, like at that price, it's garbage.
It's not good here either. It's
yeah. This one was shocking. A single roll of paper towels. How much was yours?
Oh, 320, but I'm open to, I picked at random there. There definitely are cheaper options, but
Yeah,
yeah.
so he's got 320. Our store brand single roll paper towel was a buck 38. Dawn dish detergent.
Closest equivalent is 214.
Ours for actual Dawn is $3.58. A 5 pound bag of potatoes.
415.
Ours are $5.98. So yep, y'all are definitely cheaper there. One head of lettuce.
123.
Here a buck 98. And then bananas per pound.
130.
Which is really crazy. Bananas where I'm at 69 cents per pound.
Well, they have a lot longer to travel here than they do to you.
Yeah, like I said, I would imagine that import kind of stuff, because obviously like you said, the amount of transportation to get it there, fuel cost and whatnot, obviously, is going to jack that price up. Alex says he can get a head of lettuce for $1. We used to, not anymore. So,
Well,
why he's got the website pulled up,
mhm.
is there? Oh, here we go. Iris, this is a good question.
All right.
Maiden ask, weird question off topic of human food, but how much does dog or cat food cost there per can?
Give me 1 second.
He's going
Um,
to check it out. Um, so
I'm going to pedigree. Yeah. Okay.
pedigree. All right. So guys, I mean, the prices, obviously being in the southeast. I mean, was there anything that stuck out to you guys? Maybe where you're at that it's so way off base. We're going to actually get into rent and power and stuff like that too. So
Right. Six. Okay. I have to do the conversion in my head here, but the dollar and euro are pretty on par. It's about 80 cent a can
80
for store brand dog food.
store brand dog food.
Yeah.
Awesome. So our store brand pedigree, like store brand here, Hero. Do you know right offhand? What about cat food, like brand name?
Brandon, 1 second.
Let me see. I'll pull up here. Let's do. Do you have Friskies?
Felix, do you know Felix?
No, no.
It's probably just I'd say it's the on par. Per can. Give me 1 second. Well, they're selling them here in uh, packs. Hang on.
Well, I'm looking at packs here. Like, here is a um case of. Oh, if this will pull up, 40 cans of
Oh.
Frisky shreds.
Funny enough, I think we have exactly the same thing. They're probably just go under a different name. I have 40 cans of 100 grams here. So yeah. So I'm running at $25.
28.11.
Okay, it's comparable.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Pretty close. Um, Alex says we bought a large bottle of Dawn at Target the other day, and I think it was $5. That's about right. What's up, TM Lens? Welcome. Good to see you in here. Hero says like a 3.5 pound bag of Purina cat food here is around $9. And Maiden says that used to be the cheaper stuff. Yeah, it used to. It sure did. So it's interesting. Now these prices that you've went and looked at, Irish.
Mhm.
How much fluctuation have there been, from an inflation standpoint? I mean, is there a point in time, like say, within the past 3 years, that some of these items are significantly cheaper, or has like milk always been around that price?
No, dairy got very expensive. It was immediately. I'm not exactly sure what the cause was, but it was COVID, and after COVID, supply chains just got fucked. Is what they were blaming it on anyway. Um, we dairy definitely went up like 30-40%. Like, for example, we're a big dairy family in the sense that, like, if I ever become lactose intolerant, I'll just walk into the fucking ocean,
Right.
that yeah. So like yogurts, for example, in Tesco brand, store brand yogurts, like they used to be like 30 cent for a good yogurt. So let's just call it 30 cent in dollars as well.
Right.
Like they're up, they doubled in price. They're all like, that's very significant. I mean, if gas doubled in price, you'd walk, so
Right.
milk didn't quite double, but it did go up significantly. All cheese went up. Everything to do with a cow went up, basically, when it comes to dairy. Meat went up as well, not by the same margins, but pretty much everything went up, in double digits percentage wise.
Well, I know
Uh,
here everything did go up to post pandemic, and I think a lot of it was gouging.
mm,
We've talked about this before. You know, there was the whole deal a while back when eggs were hero. What did eggs top out with? Like $2 and a half, almost $3 for a dozen. What's up, Dom? Um, and then they've dropped back down, to earth. But there was that post pandemic, we blamed everything under the sun for the prices going up. And I've always speculated that, they were going to go up, and we would find ourselves in a place where the sale prices would be equivalent to what the original regular price was. And that's suspect to me. TM Limseg said it was 100% gouging. Eggs where he was at went almost to $4 a dozen. And Hero says it was Eglin's best. So,
yeah, I think most of the gouging, the origins of it were probably legitimate, in like there was an immediate shock to the supply chain and prices went up accordingly. But then when they recovered and figured out the supply issues and everything else, they just left the price and hoped nobody would fucking complain. And I really think that initially there might have been something to it, but the greed is just ever after. It's there's no way that the cost of dairy production here is still running at 30 to 50% higher.
wow. Alex says eggs at their highest where he was at were $7 a dozen.
Whew.
That's rough. But you know what's real? It's awful because if you think about it, we've seen all this gouging and whatnot, but the things that were worse for you that sold the most, the prices didn't go up. Cigarettes really didn't go up. Liquor didn't go up. Beer didn't go up. So the big question is, if the supply chain was really affecting all this stuff, you would think, you know, the manufacturers of what, some of the biggest vices in society are, they would ride that train and be like, oh, instead of charging $1.47 for this, 24-ounce can, we're going to charge 3. They didn't do it. And that should give everybody pause for a minute. If things are going up 10, 20%, a lot of these companies that, sell the beer, the liquor, the cigarettes and whatnot, there was no equally proportionate price increase on that stuff. I mean, wouldn't that not make sense to you, Irish?
Generally speaking, you're right. I mean, there were some things that somehow managed to not go up in price, yet they all use similar, if not identical, supply chains, at least for getting things around the place. I'm not sure production side, maybe not, but I don't really have a good answer as to why things like beer and cigarettes didn't go up for you and everything else did. I don't. I mean, cigarettes are not produced, generally speaking, in the States, but beer is. I don't really understand. Like, I mean, beer is made out of the same stuff as bread, for God's sake.
Right.
It's you know.
And TM Lintz's beer went up in the Midwest, and Alex's booze prices have been creeping up. Though I used to be able to buy a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue for 120. It's almost $200 now. Wow.
Oh, you
Um,
could blame Brexit for that one.
yeah. TM Lynn says dairy price increases has nothing to do with supply. Dairy farmers are dumping milk in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and California. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's another thing that still perplexes me now. Like, Ireland produces an ungodly amount of dairy. Like it's like half a ton per person per year. It's ridiculous. Um, and so but with that logic, you'd think it would be considerably cheaper. But we export like something like 8 or 10 times more than we use.
Right.
Um, but it's and like dairy does not travel well. We can't export milk. You have to turn it into something else. Um, but it's just yeah, I don't really understand why it's dairy was hit so hard here. But anyway, that's just me complaining because I like dairy.
Right. I'm looking at something real quick. I just want
Well,
to
while
make.
you do that, I'll just announce a disclaimer here. I did use Tesco. I don't think they're in the States, but
They
they're
are not.
basically they're a generic run of the mill kind of supermarket. There are cheaper alternatives. Aldi would be a one that trades under, I think, Trader Joe's. No, Lidl. One of them trades under Trader Joe's, and the other one is you do have Aldi over there. We had those too. They're cheaper alternatives because they mass produce everything in house and everything's store brand. Um, but there wouldn't be a huge amount in the difference.
So real quick, I wanted to check this. We had something pop up in the chat. Um, Pierre, I believe, left a comment, and so I went into Google Translate to see what's going on, and that looks to be Brazilian, and
Hmm.
their statement was, I bought a dozen eggs today for $14, which the conversion there is 288. So it's
In Brazil, yeah,
Brazil. So that's awesome. Welcome. Thank you for
yeah.
joining in. That's pretty awesome to see that come through.
Olay.
Yes,
Um, the other thing too that has to be different because I actually don't know this about your state. What's your sales tax?
7%.
All right. Do you want to guess what ours is?
I'm afraid.
Yeah, you should be. It's 23.
Whoa, well, wait a minute. You have a 23% sales tax, but
Correct.
wait a minute. So what's the healthcare situation there?
It's we have a shit public healthcare system, which is free at the point of delivery, and we have private healthcare as well.
And to TM Lenz's point, actually, where I live, there's no sales tax on food.
Ah, okay. Well, we have varying tax brackets, but generally speaking, it's 23%.
23%. Holy shit. I don't. So, but we had discussed before. What's the average minimum wage there?
In dollars, it's 11.30. Oh no, is it yours? Let's call it $12. twelve
twelve
dollars.
dollars an hour is minimum wage there. But you got so you're paying a 23% sales tax even on food.
Yeah,
Alex
and
says
yeah.
sales tax in California 7 years ago was, he thinks, 8.25%. Now, Alex, was that just on non food, or was that tax on food as well? Because the tax situation here, there's a federal tax, and then there's a state tax, like on your income. But here where I live, there is not a tax on food. Everything else, like there's a cigarette tax that's factored into the price. There's tax on beer and wine. But you're not going to, if you went in and bought like a gallon of milk, there's no tax on that at all, which is crazy. That's crazy. 23% Irish. That's so. Let's just say, what would you say your average grocery bill is? I mean, if you're just throwing out a number, you had to go do grocery shopping for the week for you and the family, factoring in the tax, just kind of ballparking. What would you
All
think it
right,
would be?
ballparking it would be about 120 to 150
100. And now that amount of food would last you how long?
a week.
Oh, so like $150 a week, basically.
Yeah.
Wow. Maiden says, I think it's similar to some Eastern European countries. I have family in Denmark and Norway, and their taxes are outrageous, but they have things paid for that we don't here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could in theory could go into all of that, and it's true. There's definitely things over here that we get easier than you guys. Like healthcare being the biggest and most obvious one. um and I think this is more for fun. I don't think this is really it's just like how much are groceries
Right.
in Ireland versus but like there are reasons behind all of this, like taxes one, services that you get is another, minimum wage, inflation, currency. There's a million different things, but it's interesting some of the stuff that is just more expensive here for unknown reasons, like fucking dairy.
Right.
um and cigarettes and things. Now, cigarettes here, like it's almost 100% tax. It's just nothing. You know,
Now, as far as the cigarettes go, are there any like Irish brands?
no, none.
Oh, so everything you have come in is like import.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Now there might be some Irish companies that own a share in something or other, but no, essentially no. There's no brand loyalty to anything Irish with cigarettes. You're just, uh, you know, I so you probably just got hooked in it when you were a
well,
kid, and
and I would imagine too, climate. I'm not like a botanist, but it might be a thing where only certain areas can grow tobacco.
oh yeah. So look, if something needs to be warm to grow, we don't have it. Bananas, things like that. It's not economical for us to grow things. So if it does well in mild climate that's raining for most of the year, then we probably do pretty well with it. um so yeah, look, we have to import a lot of our stuff. Energy's a big one. We have to, like, despite the fact we have wind and waves everywhere, we're still way behind on getting our energy from that. We import an ungodly amount of fossil fuels from all over the world to hence our electricity bills are and our gas bills are huge.
Right.
You know.
Hero chimed in. There's only 13 out of the 50 states that tax food. So,
Mm.
so the majority of the country there is no tax on food. And Maiden says, I remember my grandma buying Levi's jeans in bulk to bring back to family there because they were so expensive over there. Well, yeah, well, brand name clothing. I mean, is that like pricey as hell over there?
No, it's comparable now. Now, what she's saying is true. That was definitely a big thing back in the day of getting someone to send you something from the States or other places, because it was much more expensive here. But you know, we have like we've solved that problem. Let's put it that way. I mean, some of the biggest clothing brands in the world are Irish. Like, I mean, Primark is Irish. Um, you know, uh, it's yeah, we've solved that one. So no, I think our clothing is probably comparable now. There's probably a bit of fluctuation because, again, the tax and some import stuff, but generally speaking, it's on par with the States.
What about like online purchases, like Amazon and stuff like that?
Mm.
I mean, are the prices comparable to what you have there in your country? Or are you able to get better deals through like Amazon? And are they charging tax on that as well?
Yeah, well, I've had to switch. I tend not to buy on Amazon, generally speaking, because I hate everything that they do. But sometimes you have no choice. Now use the German Amazon website, because I used to use the UK one because it was in English, but now Google Translate everything anyway. But I can't use the UK one anymore because they are no longer in the EU, so you get taxed for import on everything you buy from there. So it's just pointless. When you can buy exactly the same thing from Amazon in Germany and pay without paying the tax. But in term, yeah, Amazon, I suspect it's like this in the States as well. Yeah, there's usually cheaper alternatives online for almost everything except groceries, I guess. Uh, but you're just running the risk of yourself. I mean, Amazon has a patchy record of getting decent products. Um, but as well as that, venturing off topic here, but I hate what Amazon has done to every town center in Ireland. It's all the mom and pop shops are fucked,
Right.
and don't like that. But I don't want to get too far off topic, but I try and avoid them for that reason.
Well, this is going to be a weird one. Um,
Uh,
you've got the internet at your access right there, correct?
correct.
I want you to type in something under shopping,
Okay.
and this is Gibson Les Paul.
Okay.
I am just curious. So I
There
just
is a store in Dublin that does those. Hang on.
okay. I am just curious. what we're up against here.
Oh, sweet mother of God. Okay.
So what's
Um,
the first thing that shows up?
almost 3 grand.
Uh, is it a Gibson Les Paul Standard?
Heritage. Does that mean anything to you?
How much is it?
Oh, hang on. There's one standard here. 2,685. So almost $3,000.
Wow, but it is $300 effing cheaper than here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Gibson Les Paul Standard, $2,999.
Now that's literally the first thing that's popped up here. So I mean, it could just be a fucking ad.
But
I
still,
haven't deep dived
still,
into it.
I'm that kind of stuff is amazing to me. It's like, um, you can't really compare like video game consoles because all the prices are adjusted per, you
Hmm.
know, a region to where they're kind of in line. Musical instruments would be something interesting to check out like later at a later date. Just different things like a set of drums and whatnot because there's going to be some discrepancies there, I'm sure. And because quote unquote American instruments carry a premium, but a Gibson Les Paul Standard is $300 cheaper than it is here. I mean, out of the gate, and typically, the prices you're going to see when you Google that stuff are going to be some of the higher prices to begin with, which is crazy. So, having said that, getting back to necessities, the second part of this, well, actually, before we get into the utility part of it, so Irish went further into the pricing of the groceries, and he has it basically at minimum wage how much you have to work. So if you'd like to go over that, that'd be great.
Oh, okay. Well, this is basically exactly what we just spoke about. It's just divided by how many hours or minutes you have to work
Right.
here at minimum wage to afford it. So, like just no, I did.
I mean, you
Oh, I
don't have to go
neglected
through
to
the
do a bit
go
of
whole
space.
list, but like some of the
Well,
pricier stuff.
yeah. So basically, let's see. Like how many hours? So like for a a gallon of milk here, you would have to work for approximately 20 minutes to afford that. That kind of thing.
Right.
It's kind of a bit nerdy stuff. Not everyone thinks this way, but that's kind of the way my brain works, unfortunately. But for example, like some of the stuff that stood out to you, say a pack of cigarettes, you're looking at almost 2 hours. Well, say an hour and a half to afford a pack of cigarettes. That kind of thing at
That's
minimum wage.
crazy. I,
Um,
I, I do know that there was one day at work I grabbed our one of our managers, the guy who's over the stock crew, and we kind of took a tour around the store looking at stuff, being like, guess what? You know, minimum wage here in the United States is 7.25, right? So, you know, the numbers are much more skewed versus what you guys have, because your minimum wage technically is way higher.
mhm.
And, you're looking at stuff like if you're paying, $5 for, a pack of toilet paper or something like that, when you put it in perspective of like, oh, this is almost an hour of your time to get 4 rolls of paper towels or toilet paper, it kind of flips a switch in your head. And because, like you said, nobody looks at it that way.
No, it's the way like I've had to look at things that way in the past because I've been dirt poor, But it does it brings it home because if I tell someone that a Kerrygold butter is 4.58 or something like that here, it does people sometimes can't get their head around that. But if I told you you had to work for half an hour to afford that stick of butter, you go, oh wait, whoa, wait a
Yeah,
second now.
and that's something that I mean, maybe that's something an episode we do down the line where we look at things not necessarily like necessities, but things that people buy, like game consoles,
Mhm.
musical instruments, recreational things. You know how much time it takes working. What you're giving away of yourself and your labor to afford these things.
Well, yeah, because like for example, I remember before I was grocery shopping with a friend of mine years. We were in college and we were just basically getting some essentials together. One of them was instant coffee. All right.
Right.
Now I think the instant coffee that they preferred was premium. Right. It was like 3 times the price that I would have paid.
Right.
So, and I made some comment like, Jesus, yeah, but they did point out like that's going to last you like a month, you know? And like, you went off and you bought fucking orange juice that you will be finished before we get home, that might be half that price, but you got like 30 minutes of utility out of that. I'm getting double that for double the price and getting a month of instant shitty coffee.
Well,
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's a we have a like, for example, I still have this hang up over games, computer games. I'm not a big gamer, like, but
Right.
if I see something on the PlayStation Store, I don't buy it immediately. I think about it for a day, and it might be $8, right? I'm not kidding you. But there's something ingrained in my psychology that, like, games are expensive, because that's what I was always told as a kid growing up. Like, those are luxuries you can't have, that kind of, because
Right.
they probably were back then, to be fair. But like, it's hard for me to get wrap my head around when you're just ingrained that something is, like, look at the utility you're getting out of something you buy for, you know uh, sometimes you buy something for $1, you think, well, it's only $1, but if you eat that Mars bar, you got that for 20 minutes and you've forgotten about it. Something that might be $10, like a game, could last you 6 months
Yeah.
of casual entertainment here and there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not, it's different for everybody, but it's a different way of viewing prices. It's weird.
Well, for me, like for games especially, you know, I I'm an Xbox and Nintendo guy, so I have Xbox Game Pass, and that really kind of satisfies my needs to play games on that platform. There are very few games out there that when they come out that I will purchase when they come out at full price.
I
You
agree.
know, a lot of stuff I'll wait, for it to go on sale. If there's a new Doom game, I'm going to buy it when it comes out full price. If there's a new Zelda, I'm going to buy it at full price. I actually did that recently. If there's a new 3D Mario, I will probably buy that at full price. Um, because, at plus two, the gaming sector right now, we're at a point now, like the last Zelda game that came out was the first Nintendo game that is $70. So I don't know if you've kept up with the pricing now. Now the pricing model across the board for the new generation games are $70. So it's going to have to be something that I really, really, really want to spend $70 on a game, because when you look at your average, time spent on a game, let's take for instance the latest Spider-Man game came out, $70 game. Okay, if you were to 100% complete it, get everything, get the platinum trophy, it was like 25 hours.
Mhm.
Whereas the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was $70. That's the first $70 game I've ever purchased. But I put 278 hours into that game. I'm pretty sure I got my money's worth.
Exactly. You're talking about utility. That's
Right.
exactly it. So if you threw $70 at beer, you just piss it out within a day, and
Literally. Yeah.
you know that's it. Or whatever. Look, everyone's different. Some people get no utility out of games. It's whatever your entertainment is. Like I like it just it's nuanced, really, but it
It
just,
really
there's
is.
a psychology behind it. Like, it's kind of, when people were going crazy over the price of eggs, like, that kind of triggers, like, Jesus, like, well, for one thing, at least you can substitute eggs, as opposed to like gasoline. You might need gasoline to go to work, but eggs, you can skip an omelet and have something else. There is substitutes available.
Right.
um but the I don't know. It's the way I kind of look at things. Like, is this worth my time? Because I'm purchasing this with my time. I have
Right.
spent time in a shitty place I don't want to be in order to afford this shit.
Well, yeah, and I'm looking at the comments here. Like Maiden says, I remember the times of begging my parents for a $20 video game, and now they're 70, and I have to buy it. Right. And then Alex says PlayStation games used average about $50. They're also now average 70. Um, but yeah, I think it also comes down to the person. Like
Yeah.
for instance, the guitar. Okay, if you're not the first time player, if you've been a musician, when you buy a guitar, if you're in a situation where your life is at least secure enough, it's not something you got to hawk or sell. Because I've sold plenty. But if you get one and you're in a position where you don't have to sell it, you have something that, like for instance, my father gave me an acoustic guitar he bought a few years ago. All right, not that he bought it a few years ago. He gives me this guitar that he purchased when I was younger. He that guitar's pushing 50 years old. It's sitting here next to me in a case, and it's an investment at some point. You know, he bought this guitar like in 1975, 76, somewhere around there. And well, no, it was a little bit later now. I think it was 77, 78. But anyway, here's a guitar that increases in value. It's something you can pass to generation, and it's also something that you can create on. You can't, by comparison, if you spend the same amount of money on like a Nintendo or an Xbox, that's merchandise that has guaranteed obsolescence. It's just like the iPhone thing. You got an iPhone 10. Well, I got to get the 11. You want the 11? Here comes the 12. Guitars and things like that, heirlooms basically, don't fall under the same purview. You know, it's like you said, what you get out of it. If you buy an instrument and you keep it with you until you die, you know, you've got a return on investment in that. And there's so much stuff out there that we buy that there is no return on investment.
Exactly, and like it doesn't really matter what it is. For some people, it's collecting stamps. For some people, it's music. Like whatever your thing is, if it's worth it for you, go ahead.
Yeah.
I no judgment for me. It's just like it's just a different way of kind of like I just measure things in my own head in kind of how many days, weeks, months something would take for me working to pay for,
Right.
and that's and some things you have no fucking choice in, like groceries, which is why we're talking about that tonight, dude.
Yeah. Necessities.
Yeah,
And what we're about to talk about is a necessity as well.
right.
And that's the thing. The sad part is the return on investment for necessities really isn't there because that's where you're getting gouged. And so speaking of that, the last thing we're going to go over, average rent, average power, and gas per gallon. So Irish, average rent there. And what is that based on as far as a dwelling?
Okay, average rent here for a two-bedroom apartment is $2,136.
Wow. Well,
Now that does fluctuate. I know people will be googling that it fluctuates, but it's an average. You know.
right. Now, average rent where I live, okay, is $1,183 for a one bedroom apartment, and then $1,373 for a small house. And when I say a small house, you're talking about older houses, max two bedroom or mobile homes. So that's where we are with that. So your average power bill, electricity,
Okay, I base this on my own one. It's 180 $180.
and the same. I based it. I'm not actually basing it on my own because I will tell you, the average power here is 174 per month, and I just paid 158. And it's really interesting because I can see the next billing cycle and it's cheaper. The next power bill is like $135. But on average, what's your climate there right now?
Our climate's it's overcast and wet all the time,
Right.
basically.
Um, you know, I can probably account for mine dropping because our dishwasher died, and obviously that takes power. So, we went basically 2 months without a dishwasher. But if you look at your average, we're not far off because, like I said, the average here is
No, all right.
174.
Yeah, and it has gone up significantly, by the way. It would have been a lot cheaper, but for geopolitical issues that we're not going to go over.
Right. And finally, a gallon of gas.
727 US dollars.
All right, so I looked at a thing here that shows like the cheapest and the average around here. Right now, the cheapest I found that's close to me is 2.95 a gallon. So, for all of you people who are complaining about $3 a gallon gas, would say that one more time, Irish? How much per gallon?
727.
So to fill your gas tank up, if you can do the math real quick, roughly, how much does it take to fill your tank up?
In gallons. Shit, I don't know. Oh well, I can tell you about 80, maybe. About $90.
$90. And if you don't mind me asking, what kind of vehicle are you driving?
I drive a Skoda, which is probably not something you're familiar with. A small family car.
Is it like comparable to like Toyotas and stuff like that and Kias and
Yeah, it would be like Toyota would be a higher brand than that,
but
so
you're
it would be
but you
cheaper.
but you're driving a gas efficient car.
Oh yeah, it's there's it's got the smallest engine you can buy, basically. Yeah.
So dude spending almost $100 to fill his gas tank in the equivalent of driving like a Toyota Camry here. Think about that for a minute. Maiden says it's 319 where she's at. That's North Carolina. Chicago is $5 a gallon, and that would be on the higher end of things. Maiden also says the average cost of rent in Asheville, North Carolina, is $1,705. Alex says in California, it's around $6 to $7 a gallon, depending on where you are. On the average, most of us can't complain about gas prices. Irish,
Yeah, for once
Irish
I
is,
win.
man, that you're getting bent over and not even getting a kiss on that.
Yeah, right.
So by comparison, how much was it pre-pandemic? I'm just curious.
Oh, pre-pandemic, it would have been about about $65 to fill the same thing. So it's gone up about 30% thereabouts.
Man, but but I have to believe. So let me ask you this. All right, so we went over the price comparisons, and we've talked about the money and the inflation and the health care and whatnot. And I think this question here will tell the tale. If you had the choice, and it didn't cost you, anything out of the way. If you had a choice to live in the United States or live in Ireland, where would you choose?
I would choose Ireland and almost solely on healthcare.
There you go. Return on investment. Sometimes comes down to other things other than the physical things you purchase. I think that statement says a lot about, we can talk about the prices. We can talk about how eggs are cheaper here. But obviously, with all that said, with Marlboros being almost damn near $20 a pack and beer being double or whatnot, the fact that you would rather live there due to health care says all we need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, other people would may have different choices, but that would be our. I mean, we've discussed it. That's
Yes.
essentially, my wife and I have discussed it. It's that's essentially what it boils down to. But just one point on rent there. I think if you were to adjust that for minimum wage, it would be fairly comparable because I worked it out at. It's nearly 180 hours someone on minimum wage would have to work, which is fucking impossible. So in
Right.
other words, if you're on minimum wage, you can't afford to live in a standard size place by yourself.
Right. Brian just said in the chat, as an American, I would also like to live in Ireland. But that's great. So, I mean, I think this is cool. Now, real quick, before we get off here, because we just hit an hour perfectly. For the next episode, Thanksgiving. So, Irish, I know your wife's from the United States. Um, Thanksgiving, is that really a traditional meal in Ireland, or is that something you do for your wife?
Oh no, it's not a traditional meal at all.
Right.
Thanksgiving is, I mean, it's probably everyone knows about it, I suppose, but no, it's not at all. It's a completely normal day here, but we've always celebrated it, obviously, and we do it in the same style as you guys, turkey, all that jazz. So
And
it'll
you
be kind of a fun episode.
and you do the cooking, right?
Yes, generally speaking, I do.
I
My
remember the
wife is
picture
doing a
you
lot
sent
more of
me.
it.
It looked
Oh yes.
the picture you sent me looked like one of those fucking wallpapers you see for like Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, damn.
Well, well, I mean,
Yes, I know.
I'm not that much of a. My father-in-law is actually a chef, so I'm not going to brag too much on that.
Right. Okay. So real quick, just to kind of give everybody a preview. So the items that you cook for Thanksgiving, so we can compare and contrast. I'll get all the prices and stuff this week. So
Mhm.
what do you cook?
Oh, I think it's pretty much exactly what you would cook because my wife ensures they have all the staples. So it'll be turkey, roast potatoes. There's squash there somewhere. Like it's
Do you do traditional dressing or stuffing?
sage and onion is what I do.
Okay, awesome. So send me the list, an itemized list of what you cook, and then
Cool.
I'll get that and we'll do it, and that will be a really really fun episode. And guys, everybody that's watched, get your ingredients together as well. You know what it costs where you're at to make Thanksgiving dinner, and let's compare. You know, next week's meant to be a lot of fun. Okay, so it's holiday season. Let's have some fun with it. I do not cook Thanksgiving dinner. I cook, but I don't touch that. You know, Hero is the master of that. She grew up Southern. She'll cook for like an army because that's just how Southern women were taught by their meemaws and stuff. You don't cook for like four people. You cook for an army. So, but you know, get your prices together and whatnot, and we'll compare. And you know what? Maybe after Thanksgiving, obviously, we're doing this on a Wednesday, so that would be the day before Irish.
Hmm.
So maybe on Friday, not doing a stream, you guys have my email address. Send us pictures of your Thanksgiving spread.
Oh,
And
it will do. It'll be a fun episode. I
yeah,
mean,
I mean,
it's good. Yeah.
for all you guys, that have a big Thanksgiving spread, take your pictures and send them to me. You can either send them to me through direct message on Twitter /X, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't think you can send them on Blue Sky because we don't have personal messages. But if you go to the description of the video, the email address for the Retail War Zones there, send them to me. And we'll have a follow-up episode to Thanksgiving, another fun one going out the end of the year, looking at everybody's spread. So that'd be cool. So having said that, Irish, we are sitting at an hour and 3 minutes. Any final words?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next episodes. It could actually it'll be something like the what you call it, the old school kind of what you call it, the Warzone episodes from the early days where it was just crazy.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's fun.
where yeah, look, it's going to be maybe our first cooking one. Be interesting.
That'd be good. That'd be another good thing to do. Maybe we can do like a Retail Warzone cooking show. That would be hilarious as hell. So, having said that, all ideas are welcome. Please go ahead and spread. Please don't be a Karen this year, far and wide. Annoy everybody you can. That'd be a great song for each of you to have on your phone to play for your family members at Thanksgiving when they're talking about going out shopping on Black Friday. Go ahead and shut that shit down. Let's make it happen. So, having said that, everybody have a great night, and we will see you next week and talk turkey. Later.